got a question.
Yeah.
I'm obviously against this stuff, but why would it say is it just because she's a woman?
Yeah. No. Probably because she just nobody likes her.
And what policies do you not like of hers? That
Doesn't matter. I'm not dealing with it.
so she's a woman of color, so you call her that.
That was TikTok user Your Chemical Imbalance, checking in on the Family Values Republican Party, and surprise, they're proudly selling merchandise that calls Vice President Kamala Harris a I don't even know if I can say that on YouTube. Either way, yikes. And if you think that kind of behavior is limited to MAGA rallies and CPAC, think again. One commenter replied that a student at her high school has that same offensive slogan on his pickup truck, and school administrators won't do anything about it. Another points out that the MAGA cult uses hate as a bonding mechanism, and it's enabling some incredibly toxic and dangerous behavior. This kind of behavior isn't confined to your everyday MAGA voter. They're getting it from the very top of the Republican Party. We all know that the GOP has a problem with women and with Black Americans, but they've never been quite so willing to say it out loud, to cheers from Donald Trump's most diehard supporters. Here's MAGA Senator Tommy Tuberville talking about Democrats, crime, and reparations at a recent Trump rally. And fair warning, this is going to be wildly offensive.
Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. They are not owed that.
The people that do the crime. Well, you can't say Tommy Tuberville didn't lay his bigotry out for everyone to see. And when it comes to stoking race hatred, no one does it better than the GOP. Here's Georgia Congresswoman and Klan mom Marjorie Taylor Greene telling Trump voters that immigrants are coming to replace you.
Joe Biden's 5 million illegal aliens are on the verge of replacing you, replacing your jobs, and replacing your kids in school. And coming from all over the world, they're also replacing your culture. And that's not great for America.
In case you didn't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene has often touted her experience running a construction company as part of her MAGA credentials. That company, Taylor Commercial, has repeatedly declined to provide information on the people they've hired, in part because companies like hers make a business out of hiring and exploiting undocumented labor. But the GOP has always reserved their harshest rhetoric for Black Americans. And this goes back well before Tommy Tuberville straight up said all Black people are criminals. Take this gem of a quote from Senator Mitch McConnell, who was trying to claim the GOP isn't making it harder for Black Americans to vote.
What's your message for voters of color who are concerned that without the John L. Lewis Voting Rights Act, they're not going to be able to vote in the midterm?
Well, the concern is misplaced because if you look at the statistics, African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans. A recent survey, 94% of Americans thought it was easy to vote.
If you didn't catch that, let's roll it back. African American voters are voting at the same rate as Americans.
African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
I guess it's easy for McConnell to forget that African Americans are actually Americans, after a career spent slobbering all over the Confederate flag and cheering on white supremacy. Too many in the media dismiss this Republican hate speech as campaign season tough talk. But the reality is, this is what Republicans really believe. And it's a big reason why trying to negotiate with them on voting rights protections is a dead end. The GOP doesn't just see Black voters as un-American and criminal. Their votes are a threat to the very existence of the Republican machine. But there are some encouraging signs that Americans may finally be recoiling in disgust at Republicans willing to sing the praises of anti-Black propaganda. Voters in Marjorie Taylor Greene's own district now call her not bright and a bully. And they're furious that Greene spends more time on television than she does representing them. Even with Republicans making it harder than ever to vote, new data shows that Black voters are registering at record levels. But even with a registration boom, state Republican parties are doing all they can to make it harder for those voters to actually vote. In some cases like Georgia, Republicans have removed polling places entirely from Black majority areas, while opening more of them in white suburbs. The quickest way to solve this problem is to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But Republicans are making absolutely sure that does not happen. And unless Democrats hold the House and expand their Senate margins this November, the likelihood of protecting voters' rights will fall to nearly zero. That's a nightmare for marginalized communities. So far, Democrats haven't made voting rights a major issue in the midterm elections. That's a huge mistake. Unless Democrats from Joe Biden on down raise their voices and make voting rights a priority, some offensive, racist merchandise will be the least of our worries. Time is running out. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and consider subscribing. And leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.